Hey, how's it going, guys? It's your boy. I would just like to stress that this video does have biased sources in it because they're the only ones reporting on it. There might be others, but these are the ones that came under my radar, and I've also got some things from the source. So this video, as you guys can tell by the actual title, is about Richard Spencer and the allegations of domestic violence against him by his wife, or estranged wife that he's currently trying to divorce. It's from The Guardian, it's from BuzzFeed, it's from another person's mouth, which we can't really verify other than we have things that are considered text messages and emails. They're in the affidavit, but they're printed off, and names are blacked out for some reason. I mean, I guess they're blacked out not necessarily for the press, but for safety reasons, even though we know it's Richard Spencer, we know her name too. The emails are also blacked out. I can see why they don't want him to get doxed, but I assume he's already been doxed anyway. So just so you know, this is a he said, she said thing, and also the sources are biased. Let's just make sure we tackle this with skepticism. I would do the same thing if he was a male feminist. I usually do actually try to give the male feminists the skepticism they deserve as if they were not feminists, unless they happen to confess that they actually did it. So unless he confesses, which he hasn't, he's denied it in some way, then I can't say that he did it. So without further ado, let's just discuss this story, shall we? So in The Guardian, they reported this. White nationalist Richard Spencer accused of physical abuse by wife. The wife of the white nationalist Richard Spencer has accused him of emotional and physical abuse, including choking her, dragging her by her hair, and attempted to punch her while she was pregnant, according to divorce filings in the Flathead County District Court in Montana. One of Spencer's favourite statements to me is, "The only language women understand is violence," Spencer's wife, Nina Kuprionova, alleged in divorce filings. I just find it funny that he married a Slav. I mean, somebody of Slavic descent. Now, a true white nationalist would be against the Slavs because the Nazis and all the old school white nationalists viewed Slavic peoples as Untermensch, but you know, the alt-right, they have to recruit them somewhere, right? And you know what? I'm just being tongue-in-cheek, so let's move on. She claimed he called her genetically defective and parasite, and that he verbally abused her in front of their young daughter. Well, okay, so I guess he is down with the Slav hating. He's not all about that squatting, is he? But another thing is, if he finds her genetically defective, why did he have a child with her? And why did he fall in love with her? I don't know. I think it says more about him than it does about her. I'm famous, and you are not. I'm important, and you are not, the white nationalist leader would sometimes tell her when he was angry, she claimed in the divorce filings. I guess he has a massive ego, which is ironic because he accused Sargon of having a massive ego, but I can definitely see him saying that. But again, this is only alleged. The allegations in the divorce filings were first reported by BuzzFeed News after multiple attempts by Spencer to keep them under seal. So I suppose he was trying to impose restrictions, kind of like Ryan Giggs when he tried to keep his affairs under wraps with super injunctions, but I don't know if you have a super injunction thing in America. Spencer called his wife's allegations of abuse a wild mischaracterization of who I am, and said he would not comment on her specific allegations. "I'm not going to be engaging with specifics," he told The Guardian. Spencer rose to prominence during Trump's presidential campaign as a well-dressed, media-savvy white nationalist, eager to explain to journalists why Trump's presidential campaign was a political step forward for American neo-Nazis and members of the Ku Klux Klan. Well, okay, he never actually said that. He definitely thought it was a step forward for people like him, a white nationalist, but I'm pretty sure he said that neo-Nazis don't like him. He's not a neo-Nazi as far as I know. Although, that said, he has some socialist leanings, so I suppose he's quite neo-Nazi, or just Nazi, I don't know. From his own mouth, he says he's not a Nazi and they don't like him, so I think considering he runs around in those circles, I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt in that regard. That's the Ku Klux Klan. I don't know. Anyway, moving on. He became internationally famous after chanting "Hail Trump, hail our people, and hail victory," and being greeted with Nazi salutes at a white nationalist event in November 2016, shortly after Trump was elected president. And that was clearly a move to get him into the news. That was a PR move, because it's pretty clear he doesn't really care about Trump, because Trump is nowhere near his politics at all, in any stretch of the imagination. They're using Trump, or at least they're trying to use Trump, to gain some popularity, which it looked like it was going to happen, but it didn't, thanks to what they're going to mention just now. In 2017, he was one of the most prominent participants in the violent white supremacist rallies in Charlottesville, Virginia, which included violent clashes in the street, attacks on black Charlottesville resident, and a car attack on a crowd of counter-protests that left 32-year-old Heather Heyer dead. Now, this is where the bias comes in. White nationalist, violent rally, and a car attack. Well, firstly, we don't know if the man in the car actually attacked the people, or if he was trying to run away, or was basically doing self-defense. Also, it was called Unite the Right, which meant that they were trying to bring all right-wingers together under one rally. And as far as I'm aware, quite a few non-white supremacists, non-extremists did turn up. But again, I don't know. And considering that Antifa and the far left counter-protesters actually caused most of the violence, they're the ones that initiated it, and the police failed to do their job. Yeah, it's nothing to do with the white supremacists, really. Self-defense is actually a-okay in my book. Hey, I'm not defending them, I'm just saying self-defense is totally understandable. Spencer and Kupriyanova married in 2010, and have been living separately since July 2017, according to the filings. They have 2 young children, so they've not lived for a while, and they finally divorce, and then she brings out the abuse allegations. She could easily have brought them out a year ago if need be, unless he tried to suppress it and did a good job, I don't know. In the divorce filings, his wife argued that Spencer's abusive behaviour, drinking, and white nationalist political activism put their children at risk. Now I can see the white nationalist political activism putting the children at risk because, well, he's been assaulted, and if Antifa got wind of his family's whereabouts, well, I would worry about their safety, and I'm not even a white nationalist, I can't be one. But like, yeah, I can see her reason for that, but again, I don't know if he's abusive, and drinking? Well, interesting. Kupriyanova, who has her own ties to the Russian far-right, so she's really no different to him, has previously defended Spencer and his views. In December 2016, the month after the Hail Trump event, Spencer's prominence as a racist advocate had sparked outrage in Whitefish, Montana, where Spencer and his family sometimes lived. Kupriana wrote an op-ed in a local newspaper suggesting that her husband had been the subject of a witch hunt and claiming that Spencer promotes positive identity for peoples of European descent around the world. Oh, I'm sure he and her consider that to be very positive, but for most white people, it's not a very positive message. I personally find the idea of being proud of your race illogical. Spencer has been misrepresented by the establishment media, she wrote in 2016, in a plea for free speech and being respectful to differing views. Well, if only he himself was actually respectful of other views. As he says before, free speech is nothing but a means to an end for him, rather than an actual privilege or a right. In divorce filings, she suggested that Spencer, a believer in traditional marriage and traditional gender roles, sometimes failed to provide for his family and care for her and their children, as well as engaging in physical violence and verbally abusing her in front of their children. Last year, after she returned from the hospital after the birth of their second child, Spencer left her alone without any help to care for the newborn and their toddler daughter, his wife alleged. So this is basically painting him as the person who likes to project outwardly a image of the traditional man, but deep down inside, he is a degenerate. Alt-right people who may or may not be watching this, or for some reason follow me. I know there's a few of you, I don't know why you follow me, but you do. What do you think of this? If somebody is allegedly a wife abuser, neglectful of their children, both emotionally and financially, as well as neglecting their safety, allegedly, is that not degenerate behaviour? Hypothetically, if he did do it, does that make him a degenerate? I'll leave that for you to decide. During their marriage, the white nationalist leader sometimes told her to use her own savings to pay for groceries, saying that his money was for the cause, she alleged. He also regularly failed to pay water, internet, electricity, and cell phone bills, and failed to make healthcare payments, causing her health insurance to lapse 3 times, including once shortly before the birth of their second child. In 2014, when she was pregnant with their first child, he held her down with his body weight and grabbed her by the neck and the jaw, leaving bruises, she alleged. In 2017, when she was 9 months pregnant, he attempted to punch her in the face, she claimed. So, more allegations of neglect and physical abuse, and this, if it actually happened, is horrible abuse. Like, this is things that we've seen from the male feminists. In fact, this is some of the worst things I've heard. Now, again, I don't know if this is real, and we'll be looking at some of the pictures that have been published on BuzzFeed that kind of paint a light in this. They don't quite go this far, but again, this is all that we've been shown. After he was punched in the face in Washington DC on the day of Trump's inauguration in 2016, Spencer left a loaded .38 pistol on the table in their bedroom in Montana, where it was easily accessible to the then 2-year-old daughter, Kupriana alleged. When his wife confronted him about the risk to their child, he did not seem to adequately appreciate the danger, she claimed. Now, this is either stupidity or neglect. Like, he just doesn't give a crap about his children. Now, it could just be that he's autistic and didn't realise. But the fact that he left a .38 revolver, I assume it's a revolver, near the hands of his kids, like, just in front of them, without even watching them, and it was loaded. That's bad. And I know you Americans love your gun safety. That's bad gun safety. She claimed he repeatedly told her to kill herself and asked if her parents would attend her funeral. We'll be seeing something like that in the pictures, guys. Much of the abuse happened in front of their children, she alleged. Spencer has noticeably increased his alcohol intake in recent years, which contributes to his aggressive behaviour and reduces his impulse control, she said. during their video chats. He would sometimes be holding a bottle of liquor early in the afternoon, she claimed. The older daughter, who was 3 years old this summer, has witnessed Spencer's outbursts and heard his verbal abuse of his mother and her babysitter, whom Spencer called a fucking sub-mediocre human being, Kuprianova alleged. So this is a man who has what appears to be allegedly a alcohol problem. Whether or not he's low functioning or high functioning alcoholic, I don't know. But the fact that he's physically abusing somebody, allegedly, and doing it in front of his children and being neglectful of his children and even insulting other people. He also seems to have, again, a massive ego and an inflated sense of self, which suggests he could well be a little bit histrionic, a little bit borderline. I'm only armchair psychoanalyzing him, but this is not good behaviour from somebody who likes to not be a degenerate and likes to present himself as the old school traditional male. But again, I don't know. In the filings, she describes the daughter as trying to intervene when Spencer berated her mother, including putting herself between her parents and trying to distract her father or ask him to stop, and said the little girl was suffering sleeplessness, nightmares and anxiety as a result of witnessing the abuse. Now, this could well be an embellishment, potentially, or it could be real. It does seem a little bit, Hollywood-ish, if you know what I mean, but again, we know that kids do get traumatised by this, we know. While Spencer repeatedly attempted to have the divorce proceedings sealed from public view, Judge Heidi Ulbricht denied the motion, citing the Montana Constitution and First Amendment press protections. Matthew Heimbach, another prominent young neo-Nazi leader, was arrested on domestic violence charges in March. So, in summary, with this article anyway, before we move on to the BuzzFeed pictures, we're not going to go through the article. They're just the same. This is a man who is alleged to be very, very, very mentally challenged in many ways. This is the complete opposite of what he likes to show in public. And I know a lot of alt-right people don't actually like him, but again, this is the face of their movement, whether they like it or not. This is the guy who's self-appointed himself, and the media have took it upon themselves to make him that as well. This isn't good. And the fact that other people have also been arrested, it's not looking good. You're having your own reset the clock moments, guys. And now let's take a look at these pictures, these released court documents which show evidence from his wife's side. Now, this is from an email. This is a printed email, and it's clearly his wife saying, yeah, apart from seeing the bruises on my wrists and knees from yesterday's adventure down your staircase that you sent me on, the trip went without major incident. I assume he was asking her if she went on the trip or something, I don't know. Are you working tonight? No. Can we talk? Again, it's just, I feel like it's out of context. I would like a bit more. I would like to know exactly where it leads, where it started, but they're not showing me much. And again, I don't know the validity of this either. It's in a court document, so it lends it some validity, but again, not much. She was very happy, but hasn't had the time to sit down with me to set it up yet. To be perfectly honest, I'm not ready to converse with you after what you've done. My jaw is bruised. I understand. I'm sorry and I feel terrible. And this was in 2014, so the abuse has been going on for years. So it's not just something that's been happening very recently then. And then she shows another picture. Why did he freak out? This is on WhatsApp, it seems. Richard was screaming that I will never get rid of him for the rest of my life, and even if he's left with 1 penny, he'll be happy if he can make me half zero. We attempted to go to divorce mediation intro meeting where the rules were explained. That was fine, but he freaked out in the car, pulled me by my gate, she means her hair. And then again, in October 2017, there's a transcript of a smartphone recording. So she's been recording him. So clearly this is legit. If she recorded him, this is damning. So I asked a question. What is your question? Why don't you answer it? What is your question? Do you think your parents will attend your funeral? Richard, you do this every time. You come in and bombard me with bizarre statements. You have no connection with me whatsoever. What kind of a connection? The only way to have a connection with you is to break through in some way. You stand there, you have no emotion, like, what is your fucking problem? You requested to come into the apartment to play with the child. I'm packing. It actually helps me if you have it occupied. Again, these two pictures here lend some validity to what's going on. It doesn't look good for Spencer, and he's claiming this is a mischaracterization. Well, this is an actual partial transcript of a smartphone recording. If we get to hear this smartphone recording, he's fucked. Like, she's been recording him. So this means that some conversations were true and did happen. And that's about it. That's all of the things that we've seen thus far. I don't know what to really think, other than there may be some truth to this. I know that these articles are biased, which we should always take into consideration. And again, we should also consider innocent until proven guilty. I would like to stress that we do this for both extremes, because it wouldn't be very fair. And if we like to go on about innocent until proven guilty, let's try act like it, guys. So until we see an actual verdict in the court, if he does get charged for domestic abuse, as far as I know, he's just been accused of it, and this is the reason for divorce, then, well, again, time will tell. So if he's innocent, he's innocent. If he's guilty, he's guilty. Doesn't look pretty good for him. And that's about all. Until next time, guys, it's been your boy, and I'll see you later.